Okay, good morning, students. In last lecture, we have seen the different methods for voltage control. As we know that in inverter, variable frequency is the most important parameter that is required in industry, so that the inverters are used in industry as like home inverters. The industrial inverters are not used for backup purpose, so they are used for converting fixed frequency to variable frequency. Okay, so at the same time, with a variable frequency, in some applications, we required variable voltage. Not only variable frequency, but variable voltage is also required. Right? Till whatever the inverters we have seen, that is half bridge, full bridge, single phase, or three phase for 180, for 120 conduction mode, etc. That inverters are maybe converting fixed frequency to variable frequency at a fixed output voltage, But if you required variable output voltage from the inverter, then there are two methods. There are two techniques to obtain variable output voltage. First one, that is external control, and second one, that is the internal control in the inverter itself, right? So I'll just show you in short what we have seen in the last lecture, and then we will go for the next. Okay, so voltage control of single phase inverter that we have started in the last lecture. Uh, then there are two methods, actually three methods. So external control of AC output voltage and external control of DC input voltage. Both are comes under the one category called as external control. So external control of AC output voltage, meaning that the output of inverter is controlled, right, as a variable AC. And second term, that is external control of DC input voltage. So in which the some additional appliances, peripheral components are required, some circuits are required to control the output of inverter. Okay, so that we have seen in the last lecture. And a third method, internal control of an inverter. Okay, so without any external peripheral, any external circuit components, you can control the output of inverter inside the inverter itself, and that we have to see in this lecture. But before that, just overlook the previous topic what we have covered. External control of AC output voltage, in which the input is a DC, right? So this DC may be from battery or maybe from converter, and then the DC is converted into the AC, and then this AC is applied to the as an input to the AC voltage controller. Simply by connecting triac, you can control the firing angle of triac. You can control the average AC output voltage that we have already seen in the first lecture. So this AC controller nothing but a triac circuitry. Okay, so output of this circuit is a variable AC. So you can have a variable frequency as well as variable voltage from this control scheme. Then second scheme, that is external control of a DC input voltage. So again, it has four different methods. So first one, constant AC applied to the fully controlled converter. This is a fully controlled converter which converts AC into DC, whose output voltage can be varied by changing the firing angle of SCR, which is used as a part of controlled converter, right? So the output of this fully controlled converter itself is a variable DC. So after filtration, you can apply variable DC to the inverter so that you will get a variable AC as a output. This is the first. Second, constant AC uncontrolled rectifier. Now the output of this controller is fixed DC, uncontrolled rectifier. It means the AC to DC conversion and no control. It means the output is constant DC. So this constant DC is given to the chopper circuit, which again converts constant DC into variable DC. and then it is given to the filter, and after filter this is a control or a variable DC as an input to the inverter, so that you will get a variable AC with a variable frequency. Okay, then next one, constant AC voltage, AC controller. Now here in this particular first, here it's a AC controller is used after inverter, and in this figure the AC controller used at the first one. So already I posted one practical, that is SMPS, in which we are using rheostat for variable frequency. So it's simply a variable transformer, so that you will get a variable AC as an output. This variable EC is given to the uncontrolled rectifier. So output of uncontrolled rectifier is depends upon the input applied. Input is higher, output is higher. Input is lower, output is lower, because it is uncontrolled rectifier. And after filter, this is a variable DC applied to the input of inverter, so that you will get a variable AC. And last one, constant DC. It may be either from converter or from battery, and then simple chopper circuit which converts that fixed DC to variable DC. After filtering, we are having a variable DC applied to the input to the inverter, so that you will get a variable AC output voltage. So these are the methods. You can check here in these all 4-5 methods. This is the first one, second, third, then fourth and fifth. You can check here every time the some controller, uncontrolled, controlled, chopper, etc. These are additional periphery, additional circuitry required, so that you can control or you can have maybe a variable output voltage at the output of inverter. But because of this additional circuitry, the overall cost definitely increases. Then second thing, you cannot minimize the total harmonic distortion or some maybe lower harmonics and so on with these external control. Okay, you can have definitely a variable AC with a variable frequency. Frequency is obtained, it is a variable frequency obtained itself from the inverter, and that is the aim of inverter, already we have seen. But variable voltage, so you require this additional circuitry with this figure, this additional circuitry with this figure, this additional circuitry with second figure, and this additional circuitry with the first figure, right? So every time to connect some additional periphery or additional circuits, so that you will get variable frequency with a variable voltage. Okay, but it is not cost effective, and even this method is not that much good to obtain variable AC. So rather to use external control of DC or AC input voltage, we will go for the internal control of an inverter, right? So no additional circuitries are required. You can change the output voltage of an inverter inside the inverter itself. Okay, so for that purpose, we required a pulse width modulation control. Actually, this may be additional circuitry, but it is required. This is one of the triggering circuit. So with every inverter circuit, we require a triggering circuit, right? So this is also one of the triggering circuit. So we can say no additional circuitry is required, because this is itself is a control circuitry, right? So inverter output voltage can also be adjusted by exercising a control within the inverter itself, within the inverter itself. So there are two possible schemes. One is series inverter control, another is pulse width modulation control. This series inverter control is not a part of your syllabus, so I'll not show you the series inverter control. Only pulse width modulation control, that is the part of your syllabus. Okay, some student facing connection problem. No problem, they are definitely facing, but it's not our fault. It's a network fault. So those who are attended or those who are connected, they can attend the lecture. Other students try to connect. I know that Definitely, this is a rush hour for use of internet in a college or even across the country. So definitely the net internet connectivity or maybe the speed, internet speed may somewhat less at this time. At morning's time, the internet speed is good because that time the offices are not open, so they are not using internet that time. So up to the 11 o'clock, the internet speed is good, internet connectivity is good, but after 11 o'clock, somewhat internet speed decreases, even connectivity issue may arises. But it's a regular practice. So those who are connected, they should attend the lecture. I'll share these PPTs immediately after this lecture because this is the last part of unit number 4. So after completing unit number 4, I will share the PPTs with you so you can read each and every part in detail. Even I'll share you the PDF of a book chapter, that is MD Singh and Khanchandani, chapter number 9 is a chapter on inverter as per your unit number 4, but it's a chapter number 9 of the book of Kanchandani. Just I'll show you the book of Kanchandani, that is just a minute. 1 minute. I'll show you. I'll share you this book even with you so that you can read in details those who have missed. Otherwise, I'll again continue the same topic in the next lecture, no doubt. But so from this particular unit, you can read in details whatever syllabus is given. That syllabus already at the start of this unit. So in chapter number 9 of Khanchandani and MD Singh, that is the inverter, which is a part of our 6th unit. So I'll share you this unit, this particular PDF of a book as well as the PPTs. So no problem, students are joining, the attendance is increases, so maybe connectivity issue solved. Okay, so pulse width modulation control is the next part, right? I'll just okay. Okay, so pulse width darlong, yeah, pulse width modulation control. This is a second technique in which you can control the output voltage of inverter within an inverter. So no additional converter, controlled converter or uncontrolled converter or a chopper, etc. is required uh, to control or to change or to get the variable output voltage from the inverter. Okay, so pulse width modulation control. The most efficient method of controlling the output voltage is to incorporate pulse width modulation control within the inverter. In this method, a fixed DC input voltage is supplied to the inverter and controlled AC output voltage is obtained by simply adjusting the on and off period of the inverter device. Okay, so PWM control has the following advantages. The output voltage control can be obtained without any additional components, and with this type of control, lower order harmonics, this is another advantage, can be eliminated or minimized along with the output voltage control. The filtering requirements are minimized as higher order harmonics can be filtered easily. So filtering requirements are minimized as higher order harmonics can be filtered easily. In this particular technique, these higher order harmonic components are automatically decreases, and lower harmonic may be eliminated or sometimes may be minimized. So eliminated is actually practically it is not eliminated, but definitely the lower harmonic components are minimized with this technique, and higher harmonic components, higher order harmonic components are easily filtered with the help of filter circuits. So that is advantage of pulse width modulation control. Okay. Okay, now internet connectivity from my side is also not good. Maybe connection may be lost, but again you should rejoin the lecture if it lost. Okay, the main drawback of this method is that this is a main drawback, and very big drawback, because the such type of SCRs are definitely costly SCRs. So main drawback of this method is that SCRs used in this method must have very low turn on and turn off time. And if you want very low turn on and turn off time, so such type of SCRs are expensive. Okay, even the cost of SCR is not depends upon only the power rating, it also depends upon turn on and turn off time, right? So for precise applications, definitely such type of SCRs are used, and even in PWM technique the same kind of SCRs are used, otherwise your circuit will not work properly. So this is one of the major disadvantage of PWM scheme, that we required a SCR with low turn on and turn off time. So such type of SCRs are expensive. Okay, there are three different methods: single pulse modulation, then multiple pulse modulation, and sinusoidal pulse width modulation. Okay, so all three types, but basically sinusoidal pulse width modulation is used. So I'll just show you what is the difference between these three, and then I will go for the last part of unit, that is uh, okay, if you are giving attendance in between the lecture, that attendance will not be considered. So don't give your attendance, because I just lock your attendance between some time. So attendance द्यायचं आणि निघून जायचं हा प्रकार करू नका. I will not consider that attendance. When I told you give attendance, only that time you should give attendance, because on mobile phone I'll take a 2-3 snapshots during the lectures, and I'll compare your attendance after that with your given attendance in a chat box. So no meaning to give the attendance in a chat box at any random time. When I told you, only that time you should give your attendance in a chat box. Okay, and only that attendance is considered. So single pulse width modulation. So this will the theoretical part for your reference. I'll just show you the figure. Single pulse width modulation. So check here, it's a triangular waveform. This is called carrier, and this is a reference. Okay. So comparison of a carrier with a reference, and whatever after comparison you will get, this will be used as a gate signal. Gate of 1, gate of 4, similarly gate of 2 and gate of 3. Okay, because two SCRs are tying on at a time. So this type of pulses you will get, and according to that, see the duration of pulse you can change by changing the amplitude of ER. If your ER is like this, right, then the pulse width will be changed. Okay, the pulse width will be changed. If your pulse width increases, the average AC output voltage also increases. See, this pulse width increases, it means that your switch S1 is on for longer time, right? Your S1 is on for longer time. If S1 is on for longer time, similarly S4 is on for longer time, it means that the average AC output voltage increases, right? So simply by increasing or decreasing the value of reference voltage, you can have a variable width of a gate pulse. If gate pulse is variable width, definitely जितका वेळ तुमचा गेट पल्स अप्लाय केलेला असणार आहे तितका वेळ ते स्विच ऑन आहे, राईट? सो वॉट एव्हर ड्युरेशन टाइम your switch is on, that much time your output voltage is present. So definitely the average voltage, average AC voltage of inverter increases. If I decrease the reference voltage, then definitely what happens? The pulse width decreases. You can check here. I'm drawing. So this pulse width decreases. If pulse width decreases, then definitely the average AC output voltage of inverter decreases. So this is called as a single pulse because during 180 or in a half cycle, only one pulse is generated. So it is called as a single pulse width modulation. Now, multiple, again, the theoretical part is for your reference purpose. I'll just explain you the waveform. Okay. Now, you can check here in first one, a single carrier, positive, negative single carrier is applied during one pulse of a reference. Now here, in a single pulse of reference signal, you can check the carrier frequency, right? Now here, the multiple pulses are obtained, okay, during a single half cycle of your reference signal, right? You can say modulated signal and carrier signal. This is called FM and this is called as FC. Okay, FM or FR, same. FR or FM is called as maybe both are same. So reference signal, the amplitude of reference signal, if you change here, the pulse width changes. As your pulse width changes, the average, pulse width changes, it means that the on time of switches increases. If on time of switches increases, then average AC voltage also increases. Okay, so this is actually a multiple pulses. Then sinusoidal pulse width modulation. Sinusoidal pulse width modulation. In this method of modulation, several pulses per half cycle are used. So the frequency of a carrier is increased. So during half cycle of your sinusoidal wave, you can check here. This is the sinusoidal wave. So number of pulses. Now in this particular output of pulses, you can check. These are the gate 1 pulses and gate 4 pulses. And this is actually a output voltage ADC, right? It means this is a positive part of your generated voltage of your inverter, and this is a positive negative part of your generated voltage. This is actually the output of inverter, okay, plus ADC with minus ADC. So this is the output voltage. You can check here, the pulse width is higher here in between, right? Here pulse width is lower. So as your amplitude of a modulating signal or reference signal is higher, then you will get a higher pulse width, right? Higher pulse width. Even here negative, you will get a higher pulse width, right? So as you increase the amplitude of this particular sinusoidal waveform or reference signal, then the pulse width of the gate signal, you can check here the pulse width of this particular gate, right? So if pulse width of a gate signal increases, then average output voltage also increases. This pulse width is varied. This pulse width is varied according to the amplitude of a reference signal. You can say modulating signal. So simply by changing modulating signal or reference signal, carrier signal is a constant. The amplitude of carrier signal is constant. Even frequency of a carrier signal is also constant, right? Here the frequency of reference signal is also constant. Simply the amplitude, that is called FM, or you can say M VC and VM. So by simply changing VM, you can have maybe a change in modulation index. If you change the modulation index, then the pulse width of a gating signal changes. It increases. So automatically the average output voltage also increases, right? So average voltage is depends upon the reference signal, amplitude of reference signal. So this is called as a sinusoidal. This is a multiple pulse width modulation, and this is a single pulse modulation. Single pulse modulation is very simple to understand. This is also very simple to understand, but this is difficult somewhat because whenever it is crosses that time, then you will get a pulses. You can check here the output voltage. You can check here the output voltage and so on. So it is difficult to draw basically, but you require to draw the waveforms in a theory paper if it comes. Okay, so this is the theoretical part for your reference purpose, right? Now check here. This is actually the output voltage of an inverter, right? You are converting here. This is the output of an inverter, right? Here it's a reference signal and these are the carrier signal, right? So you can check here, whenever this particular sine wave crosses the triangular waveform, a particular pulse generated. This is again another pulse because here it's a crosses. This is another pulse and so on. So you can check here, the amplitude of a sinusoidal waveform is larger. That time the pulse width of output voltage is also larger. Here the amplitude of modulating signal or reference signal is lower. That time you can check here, the pulse width is also smaller. At initial side again it's a smaller, but middle you can check here, the pulse width is higher. So it is depends upon the amplitude of a reference signal. The amplitude of reference signal decreases, then you will get a lower uh, pulses as output pulses. As it increases, you will get a higher width pulses, right? So this is actually a pulse width modulation. So the next next part or last part of this unit is PWM inverter. Okay, already we have seen this. The output voltage of inverter cannot be controlled for a fixed voltage. So that is a disadvantage of square wave inverter. Even the lower harmonic components are large, and even total current dissociation is also high. So these are the disadvantages of a square wave inverter. So due to these two drawbacks, square wave inverters are really used in practice. So to achieve voltage control within an inverter and to reduce the harmonic components in the output voltage, that is a PWM inverter, right? So PWM techniques allows you variation of output voltage within the inverter by varying the gain of inverter, right? Simply that is called as a amplitude of a reference signal, right? This allow the input DC voltage to be fixed amplitude. Then variation of output frequency either by varying the number of pulses per half cycle of the output voltage or by varying the period of each half cycle with a fixed number of pulses in a half cycle. So frequency, how to vary the frequency, that is given here. Simultaneous variation of output voltage and frequency is also possible so that V to F ratio can be kept constant. This feature is required in induction motor drive. So in induction motor drive, as your frequency increases, the voltage should also increase so that you can control the speed of motor. Even frequency decreases, that time the output voltage also decrease or should be decreased. Then you can control the speed of motor. Then control of harmonic at the output of inverter, that is possible. Now full PWM full bridge inverter. This is the circuit diagram. Now again check. This diagram is very similar to the single phase full bridge inverter. Single phase full bridge inverter, right? Already we have seen. So anyone from the class student, those are present for the class, they can explain the working of this circuit. Now what is the change? What is the change in this circuit that I want to explain you, because remaining things are same, right? Now S1 switch, S4, S3 and S2, only and only the switching technique or the triggering circuits which are used to drive these switches is a PWM. Just simply this is a difference. PWM, right? PWM control circuitry, PWM control circuitry. Okay, in first figure, when we learn the first part of this unit, that is single phase full bridge inverter, I'll just show you. That is a single, this is a half bridge and this is a full bridge, right? Now just compare this figure with that figure. Both are very similar, right? Just difference is that the triggering circuit used for these switches is any other ordinary technique, right? So like UJT triggering circuit or a microprocessor based triggering circuit or any other triggering circuit you can use for these switches. But in this circuit, you can have variable frequency, but not a variable voltage. You can have variable frequency, but you cannot change the voltage in this particular scheme. But in the last scheme, the circuit diagram is same. The difference is only okay. So again, due to low internet connectivity, we lost the internet connection. Okay, just a minute. So this circuit is very similar. This circuit consists of four switches. The circuit consists of four switches, and the first one is also consists of four switches, right? So uh, only the difference is the control circuitry, the triggering circuit is a different. Otherwise, the converters, the inverter circuit is same. Again, diode D1, D2, D3, D4s are not used with a resistive load, but it is required with inductive load, right? So what is the difference in a PWM inverter and simple single phase full bridge inverter? The triggering circuit is a different. In single phase full wave bridge converter inverter, you can connect any ordinary converter circuit, sorry, triggering circuit, because you require only a variable frequency in that circuit. But if you require a variable voltage, then you should use the PWM technique, right? And in this PWM technique, simply by changing the amplitude of reference signal, you can have maybe a variable pulse width. If you get variable pulse width, then you will get a variable output voltage. This is the output waveform. You can check here. This is the carrier wave, then reference wave, IS1, IS4, IS2, and IS3, right? So you can check IS1 and IS4 having the same pulses, right? So IS1 and IS2 actually required here. So that is somewhat different. Okay. So these are the triggering pulses, and then these are the output voltage waveform, right? So last one is the output voltage waveform, right? So if you check here, you will get maybe a variable voltage for a complete cycle, right? Circuit analysis, that is EO equal to EDC, RMS voltage equal to 0.707 into M is a modulation index into EDC. So actually the amplitude of RMS output voltage or AC voltage, that is fundamental component, is depends upon the modulation index, right? As your modulation index increases or decreases, according to that the fundamental component or RMS value of fundamental component changes. And M is depends upon the value of VM, that is VM by VC. Modulation is equal to VM by VC. So as your VM changes, the M changes, and if M changes, then the amplitude of RMS value of fundamental component also changes. And distortion factor is given, undistortion is given, and gain of inverter is also given. So gain of inverter is depends upon, see, this is the gain of inverter, modulation index into 0.707, right? So that is given here. Into EDC, you will get a variable output voltage. Okay. So this is about the last part of unit number 4. If you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll share you the PPT and even a book chapter so that you can read from that book. So last 4 minutes are remaining. So you have to give your attendance in a chat box immediately. And between that, if anyone having any doubt, just unmute yourself and you can ask me. Okay. In the next lecture, maybe in a Friday's lecture, we'll start the unit number 5. That is a DC to DC converter. That is a chopper circuit. Okay. So today I'll give you two assignments. Okay. So you have to submit your assignments, dear student. Very few students have completed all four assignments, right? Maximum students have completed first four assignments, but still there are 10 to 15 students are remaining. Those who have not submitted their attend at assignment, even not a first, not second, not third, and so on. So I'll just tell you those who are not submitted their assignments, so that they must be submit their assignments as early as possible. Otherwise, it will definitely affects